This is Anthony Maurer from his song Tree Wide. Now, the reason why I played it is for those who may have seen Monty Python and Holy Grail, you would recognize, there we go, you would recognize that theme from when they were doing the credits at the beginning of the movie. So I figured I found it this week, and it's a nice little piece of music. I figured why not use it for this week's episode of Dylan Knows, episode 339, Corpse Liquor, which we will discuss a little later in the episode. But there's a reason why I named it Corpse Liquor, just because it's an interesting story that popped up on my feed this week. I'm now presently drinking a slushy, kind of frozen blueberry tea. So hopefully it'll start melting a bit more, and I'll be able to get more liquid out of it over the next hour and a half or so, however long it takes. So how the hell are all of you doing? It is March 7th. Yes, March 7th. 10 days to St. Patrick's Day, so I figured I'd start wearing my St. Patrick's Day stuff. Next week's episode will probably be the St. Patrick's Day episode. So I figured, may as well just get it started right now. So we'll have some Irish music, and I'll see if I can dig up my hat and beard I always wear during that show. So we'll dig that up. For those who haven't seen it, it's quite a sight, and I might even wear it to work because we'll be going to work on that day. I think it's on a Tuesday this year. So 10 days, it'll be St. Patrick's birthday's on Friday. March 27th is my sister's 50th birthday, so I will be talking about that in a couple weeks. So hopefully this weekend we've got some other plans going on, I think. And then on her actual birthday, I think on the Saturday the 28th, they're going to do a lunch with the parents, like my mom and dad and my stepmom and her in-laws. So that'll be kind of nice for them. And then I'll figure out a time to get down there. It was only for the parents, so I wasn't invited. So that's fine. I'm okay with that. Anyway, so in that, but today is an actual event, and actually it's the beginning of a rather bizarre week this week. First up, tonight, Saturday night, this is Saturday night when I'm filming this live. So if you are watching this on Sunday, which most of you probably will be, hopefully you've turned your clocks ahead an hour. It is the end of daylight savings time, or the beginning of daylight savings time, whatever, something like that. I don't know, whatever. But regardless, before you go to bed tonight, turn your clocks ahead 1 hour, which sucks because you lose an hour, but it also means that sunset will be not till 7:30 now, and sunrise is going to still be, you'll be early. The sun has been rising like around 5 o'clock here, so now it'll be about 6 o'clock. So you'll get a little bit more light, during the day. Till you get to my birthday, June 20th, which this year is the first day of summer, and then the light starts going back downhill again until you get to the first day of winter, and so on and so forth. It's a cycle. So we'll see about that. Now, someone pointed out why we didn't change the clocks ahead an hour. Sunrise would be at 4:30 in the morning. So on a Saturday, the sun, bright sunlight, will be raining through your windows at 4:30 if you didn't turn your clocks ahead an hour, and we didn't do that. And on top of that also, another added bonus you might want to think about is the first day of winter, which is December 21st. I don't know how that happens because of leap year, but oh well. Sunrise on that day would be at 8:40 a.m. 8:40 a.m. sunrise, which meant when you get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, guess what? It's still dark outside when your kids start off to go to school, because my kids go to school at 8 a.m. on that date. So, because remember, you think, well, if you turn the clocks ahead an hour, it would be 9:40. No. Remember, you turn the clocks back in November. So it would be 7:20. 7:40 would win the sunrise, which is a bit more. It's still not great, but it's understandable. It's better than 8:40. I'll tell you that much. So, there we go. Seems to be melted now. We'll see what happens. But regardless, doesn't matter. That's not even a thing right now. you have to turn your clocks ahead an hour tonight before you go to bed. Which, yes, it sucks. But for those who like the sun and summer and all that stuff, you'll start seeing it light more often, so you can start going out for walks more at 7 o'clock at night and still feel safe and stuff like that. So there's that. So we got that going on, so just remember to do that. So what are we talking about this week? We got a whole big section about the coronavirus. I talked a little bit about that last week. Got a whole bunch of new stuff about it this week. We're going to talk about a bunch of people who are stupid, who are suing other people for stealing their own stuff. I'll explain what I mean by that. I have 3 cases about that. Easter's coming, and you'll never believe where the peeps have shown up now. For those who don't like Easter, and speaking of cheese, we get the best cheese in the world has been named at the World Cheese Convention, and our competition, I should say. We will tell you what that is. We'll have some animal stuff going on. Remember, I talked a little bit about Betelgeuse, the star, possibly dimming. We might get a supernova. NASA saying not so fast. And they'll explain why that is up there. New York rats have been discovered to be something unique in the world. Disney World is hit with another news, local news. Red Lobster drink, I talked about their Bloody Mary. They've got a special St. Patrick's Day drink coming up that my friend Josh made and showed me a picture of a while back. How would you like to live at Buffalo Wild Wings? Well, now you can. Some more Disney stuff. A new Batmobile has been shown. The tornadoes hit a major city. Pepper spray spitting llamas. Obviously, that's about Top Gun. Hogwarts makes an appearance as well. Mom gives birth to a baby on Leap Day. Ice kills. And the Girl Scouts get scammed. And very shortly. But first, let's skip over to probably about a half hour worth of news. And then about after that, we'll get into the coronavirus stuff. So here we go. Take your action figure to work today. If you followed my Twitter account, Instagram, or Facebook, and I always like that. It's always the first weekend in March, always the first Friday in March. So I didn't do it last year because I was either at Blind doing a big project, or I took off to watch Captain Marvel, because Captain Marvel came out about came out on the 8th of March instead of the 6th, which was yesterday, Friday. Tomorrow is International Women's Day, so we'll be celebrating that as well. But yeah, so Take Your Action Figure to Work Day was a big smash success. A little story about it, though. It wasn't supposed to be Martian Manhunter, actually. It was supposed to be Nightwing, and I had pulled out my Batman Hush Nightwing action figure, and he was going to be the action figure I was taking to work. So I'm getting him out of the packaging on Thursday night, and I thought I got everything taken care of, so I pulled him out, and his leg popped off. And the little screw that kept it in there, because it was one of those knee things, disappeared. So I had to trash him, and on a whim, I was like, I need to have the complete set. I need the complete set. So I went to Amazon and found one for $33. Oh God! And I bought it. So it'll be here on February 16th. So not February 16th, March 16th. So it'll be here in about 9 days. So unless it's going to come sooner, please come sooner. But I can't believe I did that, because. But I like the Nightwing figure, and I wanted to really show him off. But let me see. Yeah, let me see. Now it says between March 11th and March 16th it shipped, so somewhere in the next week or so it should be here. So we'll see what happens. All right. So that some local news. When I drive home from work, during the week. I like to listen to sports radio here in Baltimore. It's 105.7 The Fan. They air the Orioles games, the Maryland Terps basketball games. They have a lot of Ravens talk, even though they don't do the Ravens games. But they have his agent. He is an announcer, sportsman, a sports news reporter who's been covering Baltimore sports since he did Orioles games. And, fairly famous, and he has his own real estate company as well. He does on the side that his wife runs mostly, but he does know these. He's also a voter for the NFL Hall of Fame, so he does that as well. And so he's a sports legend here in Baltimore. So he had his own sports show from I forget the time, it was like 3 to 5 or 3 to 6 or something like that. Then they made it to 2 to 6 eventually. But he's an older gentleman who from a different generation, who was teamed up with a 30-year-old guy named Jeremy Kahn, who was more pop culture-y and did imitations and was a big joker, and the two of them played off each other really well. They're both good sports people, and their show slowly became my favorite sports show. They called it a day on Friday after 10 years of working together. Jeremy will be moving to the night show by himself, so a lot during the year because the Orioles games are usually at 7:30, so he might be on the air. He might be doing Orioles, because Orioles talk starts at like 5:30, so he not either do a show or he'll be part of the Orioles talk show. And Scott Garceau is going back to doing play-by-play for MASN Sports, so we wish them both luck, but it's going to be a shame. Monday begins the reign of Ken Wyman and Jason Lockenfora. Both people that I like okay, but I'm not as big of a fan of them as I am Scott and Jeremy. I will listen to their first show, see if I like it, but there's things about them that I don't like, and I'm not sure that I will be listening in much longer than that. But we'll see. Sonic unveils a Reese's ice cream cone topped with peanut butter cups and Reese's Pieces. Sounds something right up my alley. I love that stuff, and might have to go to Sonic to try that out. Yeah, we do have a Sonic actually near my work, to be honest. That's pretty cool. KFC is selling a taco with a shell made out of fried chicken, which I think is really awesome. So it's a fried chicken shell that has taco stuff on the inside. So I think that's really, really cool. I don't know if there's ground beef in it, though, because you have the chicken shell, so it might just be the tomato cheese and whatever else. But it's a neat idea, and it might be interesting. And speaking of Spanish food, Mexican food, we went to a Mexican restaurant today for my wife's birthday. Her birthday was on Tuesday, right? Yeah, Tuesday. Went well, I think. And she wanted to go to the local Mexican restaurant, so we did that today, and it was a good dinner. So all's good about that. So go to KFC and get yourself a taco with a shell made out of fried chicken. Cinnabon is. There's a Cinnabon at White Marsh Mall, I think. I don't know what a gelato is, like a coffee, ice cream, milkshake thing. I don't know, but it's something like that as well. And I'm going to go see if I can find that. We'll have a few of these. Dairy Queen has the baby blue soft serve cones that is covered with crunchy cotton candy shell. So it's vanilla ice cream with the cotton candy shell over it. That's crunchy. Probably good. Taste really, really good. IHOP has created cereal pancakes. There's 3 or 4 different about that. All right, where are you, Red Lobster? I'm going to do that one before I did any of these other ones. But I just happen to see these other ones on here. There it is. Red Lobster is selling a Jameson mudslide milkshake for St. Patrick's Day. So if you like Bloody Mary, which is a lot more complicated to make, this isn't as complicated to make. So he's kind of happy about that. Chex Mix chocolate chip cookies is an interesting thing. It's a regular chocolate chip cookie, but you add not only just chocolate chips, but also Chex Mix, which could be pretty good depending on what Chex Mix you decide, but it could be a pretty tasty cookie. A few people have been working on that one as well. Budweiser has debuted Bud Nitro Gold. It's supposed to be a smoother beer than its already smooth beer taste that you have already. And the last sort of new food thing I'm going to do right now is Hershey's is released. Speaking of food, Joey Chestnut, professional eater who has won the Coney Island hot dog eating contest more times than anyone I can know of, has a new world record where he ate 32 Big Macs in 38 minutes, which is just about one Big Mac a minute, a little bit more, about maybe about 1.5 Big Macs a minute, which is a little insane, but there you go. So good on that. Costco is selling pre-made vodka Jello shots. It's a 12.5 alcohol rating to it. So they're a little bit strong, but they're already pre-made. So you don't have to worry about doing that. You just got to buy them, refrigerate them, and then serve them for your big party. So Jello shots are interesting. When my brother-in-law had his bachelor party, it was the first time I ever had Jello shots. And I went a little overboard on that because I got truly wasted on that day. But that was the first time I ever had them. So they're pretty interesting. I think we had some in college as well. My friends and I, we made some before. I think we did that as well. Are vegan diets making people stupid? Now, I only wanted to bring this up because I don't believe so, because I know some vegans, and they're not stupid people. And this seems like it was just written by somebody who just hates the idea of vegans. The same people who are like, they see a vegetarian or a vegan, and they eat a hamburger or hot dog right in front of them so they can see it, or they grill meat or steak in front of them as well. They find it funny, like they're sticking it to them. I think it's rude and stupid. But what do I expect from the way our world is nowadays anyway? I don't believe vegan diets are making people stupid, but the fact that somebody out there believes that makes me weep. Train thing broke down and the Jungle Cruise ship sank. Well, apparently now the Haunted Mansion, it's a ride kind of thing. Some of the go-karts that you use to drive on that, they broke down as well. So they got to figure that out. Well, which is kind of funny. After I finished the Disneyland, happened after Walt died, didn't even touch on Walt Disney World, which I think might be an interesting book in and of itself to how that was created, but that might be for another time. So the fact that there's many, many issues going on now in Disney World is kind of surprising, considering how hands-on Walt Disney was back in the 50s with Disneyland and what he expected of the people who worked for him. So I guess maybe now, here it is 50, 60 some years later, maybe even 70 years later now, that it's not as big of a deal anymore as it used to be. So that's a shame, because now we have another accident that happened and another problem. So we don't know what's going to happen with that. So that's to be continued. Did you know Godzilla is an official citizen of Japan? I did not. So he is officially an official citizen of Japan. Good on him. Zombie popsicle molds is a new craze this summer. If you want to eat popsicles that look like zombies, go and get these popsicle molds. Basically, you fill them with fruit juice or whatever, and you stick them, a little plastic tip in them, and it's like a plastic loop thing, and you put it in the freezer for a little while, and then when it's done, you pull it out, and you just slide it off, and you got yourself your own popsicle. You eat the popsicle, you clean the stick, and you clean the plastic mold, and you redo the whole thing over again. It's something that's, growing up, that's how we made our popsicles. Instead of buying them at the grocery store, we bought these molds, and my mom would put Kool-Aid or other juice drinks in them and freeze them. We'd have our own ones, and we just rewash them and stuff like that. So it's a pretty neat thing that's coming back out. So good on that. Easter is coming very quickly. When is Easter, actually? It is mid-April, I believe. Easter. Actually, let's see if the women destroyed. 66-51. They didn't destroy, but they did pretty darn good. Oh, the Big Ten tournament too. Good. Easter 2020 is April 12th. So April 12th is Easter 2020. And with Easter comes the advent of Peeps, not the advent, the return of Peeps and jelly beans, stuff like that. My wife is a jelly bean freak. I've been buying her jelly beans basically every week, and I'm glad because I know she loves them. Peeps, there's fruit punch Peeps, there's party cake Peeps, and all your regular Peeps you're used to are still out there as well. This is what we're do there. There's Peeps dolls and stuffed animals, and there's Peeps coffee creamer now, which is not terrible, but it's not great. By the way, the Reese's peanut butter egg coffee creamer that International Creamers does is just like their Reese's one, just a bit more peanut buttery. It tasted pretty good, and it's fine. Just if you like the little peanut butter flavor you get from the Reese's coffee creamer, you'll like this one even more. There's actually a Peeps store, I think, down at National Harbor, right down there near DC. But the reason I bring this up is the Crocs store, Crocs, those shoes that everybody likes to make fun of, has created Peeps Crocs. So if you want to show off your Peeps pride, go ahead and buy some Peeps Crocs and wear them all around. Speaking of shoes, let me see if I can find that one other story coming up. Here we go. Nike is releasing pastel sneakers for spring and Easter time as well. So that's kind of cool. Holographic rainbow hair is a new thing also, where you can get different colored hair done in a high-tech way. So that's kind of interesting. Boots that look like bare feet. Last week I told you about a shoe that looks like a human foot with sandals on. Well, now they've gone one step further, where you have a boot that looks like you're walking around with no shoes on. It just looks like bare toes and stuff like that. It's a really weird picture, and don't know how else to describe it. But that's how you do it. I mean, it's a weird little thing. So footwear is still fairly popular going on now. But go ahead and get yourself some Peeps Crocs now and enjoy yourself. Everybody loved The Mandalorian and the child, not Baby Yoda. He's not Baby Yoda because he's not Yoda. He's a alien that is from Yoda's species. But they call him the child. The Mandalorian was hugely popular on Disney Plus, and did all kinds of good ratings and got really well ratings. So the second season was a given, and the second season will be arriving in November. Well, Gina Carano, who was one of the co-stars of the first season of Mandalorian, appears to be set to appear in the second season, because she said today that her filming on The Mandalorian season 2 has come to an end, which means they must be getting close to the end of their own filming time, and now they're just going to have to edit it into the different series and stuff like that, and work on the computer CGI graphics to get it ready for November. It's release time. Students were able to glimpse a black hole that was 30,000 light years away. I guess they were visiting NASA and they were showing them some space stuff, and they saw a black hole that was 30,000 light years away, which is kind of cool. Walmart for Easter as well. Walmart is selling Cheez-It and mini Pop-Tart eggs. They're plastic eggs that have Cheez-Its and mini Pop-Tarts in it now. So that's something new and different. Instead of chocolate or jelly beans or other candy in it, you can get Cheez-Its or mini Pop-Tarts. So that's kind of an interesting thing. Swiss Gruyere. Should be Swiss Gruyere cheese has been named the best, but apparently it is other everyone else's because it has won the world's best cheese. A female chief begins her a female chief comes to power in an African country, and right away she has dissolved 850 child marriages and is letting girls go back to school, which is a good seismic shift to get women back into the force and show that women shift to get women back into the force and show that women are not going to be ignored anymore, which is a shame because Elizabeth Warren, who I was going to vote for in the Maryland primary comes up in April, has dropped out of the presidential race, which really upsets me because I am actually not excited about either of the Democratic front runners right now. I will have to vote for one of them because I do not want any more years of this idiot in the White House. But I'm just afraid that Elizabeth Warren was the absolute best candidate out there, and because she was a woman, she got bounced, which is ridiculous. So the fact that this female chief in Africa, which has always been notoriously the right course, and hopefully when 2024 rolls around, when the next election comes, we will finally get a woman in the White House that is a Democrat, not a stupid Trump chimpanzee like Ivana or that other chick who I don't want to talk about, who might become the vice president. So enough of that. Hammerjacks. This is local news. Hammerjacks, which is a very hugely popular rock venue, was hugely popular in the 80s. Lots of big rock bands came to Hammerjacks. It was a privilege to play at Hammerjacks. It was one of the biggest music clubs in the Eastern Seaboard. Not making that up. It was as big as those up in New York and Boston and all them. And it's gone through a lot of different changes. Hammerjacks is finally going to be coming back, I think, closer to the harbor now and closer to the casino downtown as well, to get maybe get more people to come to it, because they'd restarted another location and it didn't do as well and didn't have the glamour anymore. But now if you're setting up near the casino and closer to downtown, you might be able to draw more of these things that makes you one of the hugely popular clubs on the Eastern Seaboard again. To be continued. Speaking of New York, it's been discovered that New York has genetically different rats than the rats that are downtown. And that's kind of fascinating, actually, how that works out. So they're not actually all the same rat. They are two different types of rats, and one is distinctly uptown rat and one is distinctly downtown rat. I know it sounds like an Onion story or something like that. Little girl with autism show off her stuffed dog at the dog show, and that's made the young girl's day, which was fantastic. Rocket Weekend has occurred here at Pokemon Go, where from 2 to 5 today, all the Pokestops are taken over by Rocket Grunts. And so my wife and I and my son went around and we worked for about 2.5 hours on them, and did pretty good. We did about 19 of them, and I got one of the other big bosses done. I still need one more before I get to the big boss, and my wife still can't find the big boss. So we'll see what happens with that. That was fun. There's also, through Monday, there'll be extra spawns of Rocket Pokemon out there. So it's good. You get a shiny Scorpupie. So go on out there. It's going to be a nice week coming up here on the Eastern Seaboard, weather-wise. 60 degrees tomorrow and sunny. 69 degrees and sunny on Monday. Rain on Tuesday, 64. Cloudy on Wednesday, 60. Partly cloudy Thursday, 58. Partly cloudy Friday, 62. Partly cloudy Saturday, 55. 51 and rain next Sunday, and 51 and partly sunny next Monday. Obviously, that could change. But right now, over the next 1, 2, 3, 4 days, it's going to be in the 60s. That's going to be 58, which is going to be close to 60, and then 62 again. That's going to get cooler, 55 and 51. So we'll see what happens. So tomorrow might be a good day if you're on the Eastern Seaboard or anywhere actually to go out for a walk and go find some more of these Rocket Pokemon if you want. So that's what's going on right now there. I don't know if this is theoretical, if they're actually working on it, but scientists are discussing a supernova-powered spaceship. And just think, if you could harness the powers of a supernova into a ship engine, how fast you could make that ship be. So I don't know if it's actually I don't think it's actually been invented yet, or if that's what they are looking for right now. I'm not 100% certain, but that's the rumor out there now, is that that seems to be the power source that is pushing a lot of these spaceship people to be controlled and harness the huge immense amounts of power that come out of a supernova. You could very well, quite possibly, create warp power. It could be a reality. So that's to be continued. Tom Hanks has a new movie coming out this summer called Greyhound. He wrote the script for it, and it brings him back to World War II. So he's entering World War II again. But this time, he is playing the captain on a boat, off type of thing. Kind of interesting. I mean, it was really great to hear the last shot of the trailer has a voice. They look at the radar, there appears to be only like one ship, and then all of a sudden, like, the fog lifts and there's like 100 of them, and they're like, oh geez, we're in trouble now. And that's where the movie ends. So that could be a tense, interesting film. And the fact that film, so check it out, go to YouTube, type in Greyhound trailer, and you should see it's coming out, I think, like June 12th or something like that. Yeah, because June 12th is a Friday. Because my birthday's on the 20th, and that's on a Saturday. So the 19th would be a Friday. So 7 days would be the 12th. Yes. So check that out. Oh, where am I? Okay, I got the stupid people thing. What else I got in here? Let me finish this stuff before I hit the stupid people thing. The Kids in the Hall, a great comedy group from the late 80s, early 90s. Will be coming back with new episodes on Amazon. So it should be interesting to see how they are. They're a Canadian comedy group. Days and TV shows over the years. But Kids in the Hall is where they started. It's coming back with new episodes starting on Amazon, probably in the fall. But that's kind of interesting about that. Defenders of Earth, that's right, was a cartoon that also came out in the early 90s, which I actually kind of enjoyed. It had all King's Features characters teamed up together. Phantom, the Phantom. Their action figures are coming back. So the Phantom one, Flash Gordon one, and Mandrake, the Magician one, coming back. And it got me thinking, as like, you know, the Phantom teaming up with not only Flash Gordon and Mandrake the Magician, but like a Doc Savage or the Shadow, stuff like that. It could be like a new style take on an Avengers type of superhero book. So that could be a lot of fun. Well worth to check it out. Disney World releases its mini blueberry funnel cake topped with lemon cheesecake ice cream. That sounds delicious. And also from Disney, they are releasing Disney's Aulani Resort is releasing I guess that's like a Hawaiian sort of resort, is releasing a pineapple ice cream treat topped with sugar seashells and Hawaiian flowers. So I don't know if you can eat the Hawaiian flowers, but the sugar seashells you probably could. And pineapple ice cream, never had that before. It sounds interesting. The Magicians TV show that's been on Sci-Fi has been canceled by Sci-Fi. It was based on a series of books. Now we're getting to stupid people. And then after that, we'll get into the coronavirus. So we're going to do back-to-back, like, big sets for a while. That'll take us probably to the first hour. A person who hates Star Trek Discovery, the CBS show, online show, posted a pic on their Twitter stating it was a pic of a drawing of a spaceship similar to Discovery spaceship, and the disgruntled person was saying, aha, see, Star Trek Discovery stole their design for Discovery from Star Trek Phase 2, which was a different Star Trek series that never came off the ground and was never made. So the Star Trek writers, probably the ones who were working on Star Trek Phase 2, moved over to Star Trek Discovery and said, why don't we use this picture that we're not going to use anyway and make it useful in this show? So this guy who hates Star Trek Discovery is blaming Star Trek for stealing the design of Discovery from themselves. And this is a issue that has popped up 2 other times, at least, I'm getting ready to tell you about, where people sue or point out something was stolen as if to say, oh, this is terrible, but it was stolen from the same group. As they said, Star Trek is all inclusive. The Phase 2 never got off the ground, so why not reuse the design? Because, hey, we like the design of the ship. Why don't we just format that instead of using it the Phase 2 story? Why don't we make it Discovery? And everyone's like, that sounds great. That way we can actually get to see it, and it'll make its way to television, and we'll all be happy. I'm telling you, the people who create it are like, hell yeah, I'm glad to see it on there, because they're probably working on the show too. Here's another one that came out this week as well. People pointed out that the music from the Quidditch scene in Harry Potter, and I believe it was Chamber of Secrets, was actually the same. Let's see, the musician who did the score for Star Wars Episode 2 was John Williams, and the musician who did the score for Harry Potter and Chamber of Secrets was some guy by the name of, John Williams. So he basically, there's two things of thought about this. One is they believe that both Episode 2 and Chamber of Secrets were being worked on at the same time by John Williams. And John Williams sent over the wrong musical cues for the Quidditch stuff, and they edited it into Quidditch match, and it worked, so they kept it in there. Another one is that just because Williams wrote both pieces, they might be similar in stature. Because if you've ever listened to all his music in all of his different movies, you can tell certain cues that he's stolen from previous things that he's written, which is honestly not stealing because he wrote them. It's not like he said, I'm going to take this from another group of people trying to point out something but are grossly mistaken. And that reminded me of the biggest one that came out years ago, and I talked about this one as well. Creedence Clearwater Revival was suing CCR, was accusing him for stealing a guitar riff for a solo song that John Fogerty worked on from one of their CCR songs. The problem was, or the interesting thing about it is that John Fogerty wrote both pieces. So in actuality, you can make the case that he should have the right to use a piece of music that he created, granted for CCR and not for a solo act, but he wrote it. No one else did. He wrote it. He has the credit in his name. John Fogerty wrote this. But when it became a part of a Creedence Clearwater Revival song, it became the property of the entirety of Creedence Clearwater Revival. So despite the fact that John Fogerty wrote it and then used it for his solo piece, that's why they thought they had a case, because the court said, what do you know? And let Fogerty use the riff in his solo song. So I don't know if that has caused a, anger toward them. I don't even think CCR is even together. I could be wrong. They might have somebody else taking over. Maybe they made up. I don't know. So I'm not important, but I thought that was kind of interesting that this stuff is happening all the time. What in the world did I write there? First extraterrestrial protein has been spotted in a meteorite that has landed here. Actually, I'll get to the coronavirus in a second. That's kind of interesting where, they've discovered an extraterrestrial protein that is not here on Earth in a meteorite from outer space that is not here on Earth. So that's kind of interesting. London Bar serves nothing but chocolate cocktails. So if you like your chocolate and your alcohol mixed together, you can have that together. You can have that. Go to that bar in Britain and go for it. Old Navy is selling a pack of 50 flip-flops. So if you have a party or whatever, you can get a whole bunch of flip-flops and hand them out to all your buddies for one low price. Taika Waititi, who is the director of one of my favorite movies, Jojo Rabbit and Thor Ragnarok, has signed a deal with Netflix to direct 2 animated films based on Willy Wonka. One is just a basic of his version, animated version of Willy Wonka, or rather Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And the other one is going to be a prequel which talks about the Oompa Loompas. So it could be interesting to see how that happens. They're going to be animated, so they're not live action. So that'll be even more interesting. Hocus Pocus 2 is now officially happening with Adam Shankman directing. Adam Shankman was the guy who directed the movie version of the musical version of based on the 1980s film Hairspray. He did that. He's directed a bunch of other films as well. So he's got that. That's going to be on Disney Plus probably in time. I don't know. They're starting. If they start now, would it be ready in time for Halloween? It's very possible, but it might be. It might be a pipe dream to try to film, edit, and release through streaming a film in March to April, May, June, July, August, September, October, in 7 months. I don't think it's going to happen. So maybe it'll be something that's going to come out next year. Okay. Captain Crunch pancake mix with cereal pieces is now a thing, and you can also pair it with Ocean Blue maple syrup that's also done by Captain Crunch. So that's kind of interesting take on things. It might be interesting. All right, I'll save these 2 stories for after my coronavirus thing. So I got about 13 minutes before the top of the hour, so it'll probably be that long. But here is all the stuff about coronavirus. Now, first and foremost, let me preface this by saying I think this whole coronavirus thing is getting blown out of proportion. Yes, people have died. Yes, it is spreading really fast, and a lot of people are getting just a different version of the flu, basically. And to be honest, not everybody died. A vaccine is just to help stop it. But if you just sit at home, relax, sleep, drink your fluids, keep your strength up, get away from people, it'll be like any other sickness. It might take a little longer to get out of your system, but eventually it will get out of your system. It's just the fact that it's running so rampant, and we've never seen anything like it before in our country, and people are freaking out about it so much that it's turning it into, oh my God, it's the end of the world, which honestly it really isn't. I'm not trying to make light of the fact that people who have died from it, but to be fair, not a lot of people are dying from it. And I'm not just throwing out stuff like that. I mean, there might be a lot, but there are hundreds of other people who have gotten it who are not going to die. As I said, it is not an automatic death sentence if you catch coronavirus. That being said, it is still causing panic amongst everybody. And this section of Dylan Knows is going to talk about all the stuff that's been affected by coronavirus this week. First, basically been affected by it and also interesting stories about it. First thing, people are discovering that when they go to the grocery stores and other places like that, hand sanitizer, toilet paper, soap have all been stricken from the shelves and they're gone. And so people are panic buying that stuff. So people are trying to figure out other ways they can treat the virus. One way you cannot treat the coronavirus is by smoking weed. So unfortunately, smoking weed, marijuana, whatever, will not cure your coronavirus unless you stay at home, get fluids, rest, eat, sleep, take care of yourself, don't overexert yourself. And if you smoke some weed, it's good. Maybe then that'll help relax you a little bit, but you cannot, it is not we just got to smoke some weed and we're not going to get coronavirus anymore. So it's not like that. You also, someone said, hey, Tito's vodka is has a lot more alcohol than most alcohols does, so it should be pretty good about killing the coronavirus by turning into a hand sanitizer. And we only go this far. It's not even close. Just shake your head. Emerald City Comic-Con out in Seattle, where some of the first cases in America have sprouted up and where there have been some deaths, has postponed the Emerald City Comic Convention, which is a big comic convention, to a later date. It's not been taken entirely off the schedule. It just come back later in the year. So a lot of people can plan around that again if they want to go to ECC. Also, South by Southwest, the Austin, Texas Film Festival, which is a pretty big deal, has actually been physically canceled, not been postponed to redo it another time. So that was kind of rough due to Austin, Texas Film Festival, which is a pretty big deal, has actually been physically canceled, not been postponed to redo it another time. Here, the new James Bond film, which was supposed to come out this month, is now not going to come out until March, when it is a big money maker and you've released every other James Bond movie in November. Why not release this one in November as well? Why do it so early in March? I mean, if you wanted to do it earlier than November, then do it during the summer, because it will be a huge blockbuster. It might even make more money during the summer. But in this case, they were going to open it in March. They said, we're afraid that not only here in America, but in China and other places where we want the film to do well, people are not going to want to go out to movie theaters and sit with people who might have the coronavirus. So it's been moved to November. Now, Marvel has said that they are not going to be moving Black Widow from its May 1st spot, which I've asked for that day off. I want to go see it, but I'm thinking more and more likely I'll still be working on my big project that I will have to say I can't take that day off because I'll be working on this project. So unfortunately, that's probably what's going to happen. And regular soap, because life for those foods, they're looking more along the lines of, this pandemic is going to wipe out the human race. There's only going to be a small band of survivors, and we're going to need to have stuff to eat, after all the grocery stores are looted. They're thinking Walking Dead style stuff. So they're getting this stuff that's going to sit on your shelf for years because of the preservatives. Say, hey, we'll be able to eat this if the world ends and we're one of the survivors. And I was like saying, as I said, this is just like every other pandemic out there. Bird flu, SARS, Ebola. People have died. Yes, I understand that. And I'm not making light of it. But the fact of the matter is, it's not a death sentence if you get coronavirus. And I don't know how many times I'm going to have to keep shouting that to the moon, but that's just the way it is. DC Comics, along with, canceling their ECC plans before they postponed it, is now canceling all of their convention appearances in March. I don't know if there's usually a convention every week usually, but they're not going to go to any of them in March. And it might even change. It might even continue to April. We'll see what happens. But right now, DC will not have a presence at any comic conventions in the month of March. 21 people test positive for the virus on a cruise ship that is presently off of the coast of California, because that asshole in the White House will not let them come ashore because he doesn't want the numbers of people affected by corona to go up, because he's just trying to get reelected. He doesn't give a rat's ass about you or me or anybody or the United States of America. So fuck him, and that's all I have to say about that. We're a little bit worried because my wife's South America, and there have been no coronavirus stuff happening there. So we're keeping an eye on that. They'll be back on Tuesday, I believe. So we're keeping an eye on them and make sure that nothing happens with that. A man locks his wife in the bathroom after she shows signs that she might have the virus. Again, virus. I sneezed like 10 times in a row today. My nose is a little stiffly, and I have a massive headache right now. I don't think I have coronavirus. And employees to work from home because of fears of the coronavirus. I mean, I understand maybe, everybody's freaking out that it's a pandemic. They don't want, but at the same time, it might be like they don't want to get sick and miss time at work because no one likes being sick. But in the end, you'll be sick for about a week. You'll be in quarantine. You can read books, watch movies, read comics, whatever. You do whatever you want. Just can't get out of the house really that much. People want to replace the handshake with the Vulcan live long and prosper sign. I think that's a pretty cool idea. Go for it. The virus could cause a shortage of Baby Yoda merchandise, which could be a huge deal because most of it's done over in China. But due to the fact that, the coronavirus has hit that area hardest, that a lot of work has not been done on these and they cannot ship it out yet, or they don't want to ship it out because people who may have had the coronavirus have handled these items. So there'll be some merch, but you might not see as much merch as always. Italy is really taking it seriously. All their sporting events have been shut down until April 3rd. They've also shut down their schools and universities as well. There are other countries that are doing this as well. Japan has shut down their schools until April as well. And there's that. An architect believes he has created an ultraviolet, has ultraviolet light that exudes from that, and ultraviolet light is supposed to kill most viruses. They say that it's going to kill, even though it might kill the viruses, the ultraviolet rays itself could cause irritation to the skin and issues with the skin in the future. So people are coming up with unique ideas to get through it. I found this kind of interesting. Churches are removing holy water and closing holy sites because of the coronavirus. Now, gone now during Lent. You do not have holy water during Lent. You do not get holy water until the Easter Vigil, which isn't until this year, be the night of April 11th. So from now until April 11th, there's going to be no holy water because there was none to begin with, because it's Lent and they don't have that going on right now because it's one of the things that you're not going to do during Lent. So another religion, okay, I can see that, but the Catholic religion wasn't going to have holy water anyway, so it doesn't matter. So, end the story with that. Sad story. A hotel in China that was used for quarantine has collapsed, trapping 70 people. That happened today. Haven't heard if there's any deaths on that. Hopefully there are not going to be, but that's a terrible sign as well. And people are already throwing conspiracy theories saying, well, the panic is they're trying to kill the coronavirus by killing the people who have been affected by it. So there was actually a terrorist act by destroying it. Now, I don't know if that's the case. It could, we won't know till they do an investigation. And plus, I don't think anybody died from it. I haven't read or heard. Maybe someone has. I don't know. But as of now, when I did this story a few hours ago, there was nobody dead. They were just trapped, which is still sad and it's still hard. And they are quarantined, so who knows what the hell that's going to affect things. Finally, to end this coronavirus update on a because they were so hungover that flight attendants thought that they had the virus. So these two women had gone out on a drinking binge party together, and they drank so much that by the time they got on the airline, they were acting a little weird and off, like they weren't normal. And the flight attendants panicked a little bit, thinking that they had the coronavirus and them from the flight. So just think about that. If you're recovering from an awful hangover and you get removed from the flight that's supposed to take you home, that must be terrible. So, and that's your coronavirus update for this week. I will probably, depending on the amount of stories that come out this upcoming week, I will probably just get a death sentence. Okay? All you have to do is stay at home, rest, get your fluids up, maybe take some regular medicine. It might not cure you, or flu medicine, but it'll take the edge off of stuff probably. Don't panic, because the people who are dying, unfortunately, I hate to say it though, are older, and they're nothing to worry about. And you worry about it, but worry about like it's like anything else. Worry about like it's a flu, a massive flu virus or whatever. And if you get it, don't panic. And also continue to wash your hands and do all the stuff they're telling you to do. But, don't freak out and don't panic if you feel like you're getting coronavirus. See if you can get yourself tested. I don't know how that's working out because this administration is a disaster waiting to is not already waiting to happen. It's already happening, a disaster about this whole thing. So I don't know, but if you feel bad, go to the hospital and tell them you think you might have the virus, and they'll tell you what to do, and they'll check you out for it as best they can. See if it is. So we'll see what happens next week. Excuse me. Stretch, yawn. Been an hour in. I keep myself awake. It's 10:44 p.m. Right now. So two other interesting stories. March Madness is coming up. That's the college basketball World Series, basically. And the first weekend, you're going to have a massive amount of basketball games happening on opening weekend. There's it's from 12 o'clock on a Friday through 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock on Monday. There's nothing but basketball games on all weekend for college basketball. That you do the bracketology, and that leads to the next week's stuff, and then down to the Final Four, stuff like that. So fans of that, they go out to your sports bars and your restaurants, stuff like that, and you hang out with your buddies, and you go and you just spend the whole day doing that. Well, a Lincoln Park, Chicago Buffalo Wild Wings has decided to take the next step. They've decided they're going to turn their Buffalo Wild Wings, the big one in Lincoln Park, into a kind of Airbnb where they're going to pick 4 lucky basketball fans who have to, I think you have to pick 4 lucky basketball fans who have to, I think you have to submit a video explaining why you are the biggest March Madness fan and why you should win this competition. They will allow 4 fans to live at the Buffalo Wild Wings premises. There will be a room, a building off to the side for them, which is probably hours. So if they want their wings or beer, whatever, they get, I think they get unlimited if they win this competition. And they'll be able to stay in this bed with their buddies, and they'll be able to just watch every single game at Buffalo Wild Wings in this Airbnb. So it's a neat competition. If you're interested in that, head on out to Lincoln Park, Chicago, and do that. There's all kinds of interesting about that. Read what you need to do to get into that. And it's coming up soon. I think next weekend, I think, is the beginning of March Madness. So no, because the final game, and it's coming up soon. I think next weekend, I think, is the beginning of March Madness. So no, because the final game, no, it's in 2 weeks. Because next weekend is going to be finals for the men. It's finals week because tomorrow is Maryland's tournament, and then the final game will be on Sunday between the two, and the winner of that is the Big Ten champion, which gets an automatic bowl seeding at the dance. And then after the last championship game is played on that Sunday, that's when they do bracketology, when they are able to plot all the things. And then they have the big reveal show saying these are the teams that are going to be on it. And then if you live in Chicago or want to go up there and do that, you will be able to stay for 24 hours from Friday night to Saturday night. So you're not going to be able to stay for Sunday, I don't think. But you'll be able to watch all the games one night. I don't know, but that's what's going on. Speaking of that, this is kind of interesting. There's a high-tech bed for gamers now, and it's really kind of cool. So you got a bed, and you're surrounded by a desk sort of thing, and the TV's right here. So you can lay in bed, you can have your TV, big screen TV, you can have your video game system hooked up over here. It has a mini fridge, has a microwave, it's got other tables so that you can put sound systems in, you have a keyboard, all this stuff, and you don't have to move from bed, and you can play your video games all the time in this high-tech bed. And it's kind of neat looking. It's actually really interesting. So the new Batman movie is being filmed right now with Robert Pattinson, and the director, Matt Reeves, has been periodically freaking losing their mind. They think it looks a lot more like the animated series one, so we'll see. I didn't get a really good look at it, even take a look at the pictures they had. It's just I couldn't make out anything. There's too many shadows and too much contrast. So, but people seem to be happy about it, so we'll see what happens. The Museum of Natural History, the part of the Smithsonian system down in D.C., will be excuse me, exhibiting a 9,000-pound amethyst geode. That was, but a 9,000-pound amethyst geode. That's absolutely crazy. My Hero Academia, Naruto, and Dragon Ball Z shoes are now available. So if you're fans of any of those animes, mangas, or whatever, they now have shoes that you can, wear for your pleasure. Some local news: the Cow, which is our local Italian ice/ice cream custard sort of stand that I always talk about, is now officially open. Opened yesterday, March 6th. It was 6th to December 24th. The Cow will be open every day, give or take. Once you get into the fall, they may not stay open as long, or if it's a rainy day, they whatever, particularly during the fall, they might not open up at all. But the Cow is a great, if you're ever up in Reisterstown, check it out. The Cow is definitely worth it. We'll be going to the Cow probably a number of times this summer, but it is officially open now, which is great. I drove through a sleet storm on Thursday? When was yesterday? Might have been yesterday. Might have been yesterday, because I think it was raining yesterday. It was wild because when I was coming back home from work, I was on 795 and I saw a big, massive black cloud over Reisterstown. Then it rained a little bit, and then I got off of the highway, and as I was driving through Hannah Park to get the Pokestops, it started getting heavier rain. And then I started noticing like some snow thrown in there. So then I'm driving up Reisterstown Road to get to my house. I get to a certain point, all of a sudden I'm at a stoplight, and it just drops sleet on top of it, and you can see it bouncing off the car, and it's piling up on the sides. So I've never driven through a massive sleet storm like that before. It was intense and kind of interesting. Blind Pup has a seeing eye chihuahua to help him move around and see stuff. I think that's really kind of neat. There's a creature called a Mangalitse, which is a combination of looks like a sheep pig that acts like a dog. So it looks like a pig that looks like a sheep. It's got like a pig snout and face. Like interesting about that. Chimpanzee was mesmerized by a hot chick that was twerking outside his case. It was interesting. She was doing deliberate attention, so she's twerking, and the chimp is looking at her like, "Oh, this is kind of sweet. I'd like to bang that shit." Yeah, so that's pretty cool. I don't know what that says. There's always one of those things. Any other animal stuff here? Oh yeah, 2 pit bull stories. A pit bull mix jumps through a window to save 2 women who were being abused and were tied up by their abuser. He jumped through the window to save them. So that's good on the pit bull on that. And another pit bull brings his blind chicken sister toys. So he lives with a blind chicken, and he brings toys to her all the time so she can have something to play with. So those are good dogs. A cat. A cat hears a baby crying and goes to check on the baby and jumps up and purrs and cuddles next to it to make sure the baby is okay. That's kind of nice. And a duck was sharing seeds that he was eating with fish right by the water. So that's kind of cool about animals. There is a cat butt pencil sharpener that meows as you sharpen the pencil. That's kind of scary when you think about that as well. Let's see. What did that one say that I can't understand? brewery makes alcohol from something. I don't know this one, so that might be the one I won't know what that's about. A tornado, an F4 tornado, actually rolled through the city of Nashville. I've never really heard about a tornado going through a major city like that before, but it hit Nashville earlier this week. Hopefully everybody was safe. I think a few people might have died, but hopefully it's not been too terrible. Oh, okay, that's what it was. Brewery makes alcohol-free adult soda. I was trying to figure out what the adult soda tasted like, but it didn't. I don't think it had quite like the sugary sort of taste, but it tasted more like a seltzer kind of thing. So there's actually like an adult soda out there that was not alcoholic, but was not your typical soda type of drink as well either. Pepper spray, spitting llama keychains are a thing. So it's a spitting llama and it has pepper spray in it. So if you want to pepper spray someone, you squeeze it and the pepper spray shoots out of a llama's mouth. Dead bodies and coffins create something called corpse liquor or corpse cheese. Now, I don't know if it's stuff that they eat or drink. I would hope not, because if you are buried in a coffin, your body is decomposing in the ground, and more than likely these fluids and cheese, stuff like that, are bits and pieces of your decaying body ejecting your system. So I don't think it would be very tasty, but I thought it was kind of a weird thing to call it corpse liquor. So hey, that's what we named this episode, Corpse Liquor. So an hour and 15 minutes in, you discover why this episode is called Corpse Liquor. So those people who haven't watched won't know this. If they only watch 7 minutes, they're not going to know why it's called Corpse Liquor. So haha, yeah. It is close to 11 actually, so we can absolutely get into some adult stuff. Olive Garden, I don't know if this was an Olive Garden product, but this is not a fake product, whatever, it's an actual product. There is an Olive Garden breadstick dildo. You can get now for your womanly pleasure if you like. It looks like a slab of Olive Garden breadsticks, but in the big enough format so you can stick it up your you-know-what and get yourself off from pleasure. So interesting. Hogwarts now has swimsuits. They only showed the women's swimsuits, but they are just basically regular swimsuits that have the colors and the crests of the Hogwarts houses on it. So you can get yourself your Hogwarts house. Swimsuits. A woman is scamming Girl Scouts with fake $100 bills. She's going around buying cookies with fake $100 bills. And a Girl Scout discovered it, and they're getting screwed, which is just an awful thing to do to someone, particularly the Girl Scouts. So F you stupid-ass woman. I hope you get busted and thrown in jail for screwing over the Girl Scouts like that. A voodoo doll with human teeth has been found in Florida. That's usually not a good sign. That's usually a really bad sign that those human teeth might be from a dead person, and it might have even more power to it, or that voodoo witches turned a person into a voodoo doll, and only their teeth are still protruding out. So we'll see what happens. 3 are killed by dry ice when dry ice was thrown into a pool for dramatic effect at a beauty blogger's birthday party. I didn't really know that dry ice could kill you, but I guess apparently it can. Thrown into a swimming pool, maybe mixing with the chlorine, might have caused a weird chemical reaction with the dry ice as well, possibly. An Italian village has wine coming out of its water taps instead of water. That was basically probably set up directly by someone. Gale force winds and freezing temperatures cause houses in New York that are by Lake Erie to freeze. So literally these houses were frozen, frozen houses, gale force winds and crazy stuff like that. It's insane. And the pictures are even crazier to show these houses completely frozen ice. It's crazy. Men dressed as traffic cones block traffic. Don't know why they did that or whatever, but hey, you do you. A man blasts 2 drunk chicks with his hose for peeing on his driveway. You're drunk and you need to go to the bathroom, and you look around. It's like, oh, we'll just go to the bathroom right here, and you start peeing in someone's yard. Most times, if it's at night, no one's going to notice you. But in this case, this gentleman saw them peeing on his property and decided to teach them a lesson and sported them with a hose. So good on him. I'm not upset with him. I think that's pretty cool. A mom gave birth to a baby on Leap Day this year. Not a big deal. It happens all the time. The big deal was 4 years earlier, she also gave birth on Leap Day. So her 2 children both were born on February 29th. That's kind of real good planning, or really interesting planning when it turns out to be that way. Kind of a unique story. I was telling you earlier how they're moving the James Bond movie from March to November. Well, Top Gun Maverick has been now moved 2 days forward. It was supposed to come out on like Friday, June 26th. It is now be coming out on Wednesday, June 24th, which is, it's not unusual for that to happen, but it's a sign that, the film's ready. They want to get more money out of it. And they think if they move it to Wednesday, they'll be able to get more money out of it, which is good. Schools are going to be out hopefully by that time, because we haven't had really any snow days this year. And so they should be getting out on time regularly. So people who want to see the film can go see it now a couple days early. Friends Monopoly is a thing. There's always, as I said, there's a Monopoly for everything. So if you love the TV show Friends, you can now get a Friends Monopoly game. Sad news, James Lipton of the Actors Studio has passed away this week at the age of like 93, I believe. So he's old, but it's still pretty sad when, someone dies and someone famous that Here's a story everybody's been waiting for. Betelgeuse, a couple weeks ago, I was telling you about the star Betelgeuse, how scientists were looking at it, and it appears to be dimming. They thought that it might be going supernova. Well, that is a fallacy now, because it is actually not dimming. It is actually getting brighter, and the surface temperature is not getting colder. It is actually getting warmer. What they believe is the picture that they took one picture of Betelgeuse. It looked fine. They took another picture of Betelgeuse, and it looked like it was fading. And then they decided, let's take a look at it. And so they took another picture in February of this year and also test the surface temp. And the surface temperature has actually gone up. If you were doing supernova, your temperature would be going down. This is going up. And the star looks as bright as usual. So what scientists are now postulating is they believe that when they took a picture that showed it looked like it was fading, it was actually some form of space dust or something that had spewed out of the star that was blocking the view of the camera to make it look like that it was dimming when actually it is not. So yay for that. Unfortunately, we will not be seeing a supernova in the sky anytime soon, but Betelgeuse will still be surviving, which is great. I don't like mushrooms, but for those who do, mushrooms may dramatically cut your risk of cognitive decline, which means you will not be getting dementia and Alzheimer's as much if you eat your mushrooms. And hey, it'll help you not get Alzheimer's and actually help your mind work better. Someone added the bat symbol to the old Uno's pizza sign in Poughkeepsie to make it look like it was a bat symbol. It was kind of neat that happened, and it's kind of cool to see that. So that's pretty cool. Black rain is falling on Japan, and it was freaking them out because of all the stuff going on with coronavirus and everything else that's been happening in that world, and they were starting to panic about what could this mean? Could it be the end of the world? Stuff like that. Radiation levels are fine. The radiation levels are fine, and are an omen of the end of the world. And finally, the final story of today, 42 years old today. 42. For those who don't know, Hitchhiker's Guide is that. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the last bit of tonight's episode. 339 Corpse Liquor is now in the books. Next week will probably be on a Saturday night because I don't think we got anything going on Saturday night. That'll be the 14th of. It is going to be probably my St. Patrick's Day episode because St. Patrick's Day will be that the following Tuesday, the 17th. So I'll be talking St. Patrick's Day stuff.